Education is the cornerstone of any nation's economic empowerment and sustainable development, and Nigeria is no exception. The sector has attracted interventions and efforts from a wide array of stakeholders, private enterprises, non-profits, and dedicated organizations, all committed to shaping the educational landscape and securing a brighter future for generations to come. One such organization is Teach for Nigeria. This NGO is dedicated to building a movement of leaders across the nation who are committed to ending educational inequity. Through its efforts, Teach for Nigeria recruits and trains talented graduates, deploying them to underserved schools where they can make a real impact. Teach for Nigeria is driving a movement toward educational equity and excellence and paving the way for a bright future for all Nigerians.
One major challenge I faced is the fact that the children could not read or write.
I see some of my students come to school in tattered uniforms, torn uniforms, and this simply tell of their self-esteem.
When I came here, they did not have a computer teacher. They don't even have a laboratory. So I had to start from the scratch.
True friendship, it lasts forever. True friendship, a gift we share together. No matter where you are, we're there together. Sharing moments, happiness is when we are together.
Maltina, share happiness.
Here is an underserved community. So on getting to this place, first thing I try to do is adapt to the environment, and knowing those places is a place that they lack a lot of social amenities. No light, no water, they lack everything. I had skin reactions, I felt ill several times, and even coping with the students because teaching them in English, I noticed they could not really comprehend. When I came here, they did not have a computer teacher. They don't even have a laboratory. So I had to start from the scratch with a lot of things and instructional material so they can at least have an idea of what a computer is, because we are now in the digital age, the 21st century, of which students need to know a lot about this thing.
The first thing, a computer is what? An electronic device.
I believe for a teacher to strive in an area like this, you need to have empathy for this kind of children, because it's not easy teaching and staying in this kind of community and coping with this kind of children. But you get to know them and you discover that they are amazing children and they have a lot in them. There are a lot of things to be done by the government. Like in Ibogila here, they don't have social amenities, they don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have good roads. The environment is not conducive enough for them. A child coming from a very far place, trekking a very long distance, some of them have not even eaten from home and they have a lot of issues they are even battling at home. So I think aside from the teacher doing his or her own part, the government also has a lot of role to play, and the role of the government cannot be overemphasized.
Coming down to Ibogila community, one major challenge I faced is the fact that the children could not read or write. they can't read, they can't write, and I teach English language. So going to the classroom, I would have to interpret in Yoruba, teaching English language in Yoruba. So it's a big challenge for me, because if I don't do that, the whole class will not be carried along. One major factor responsible for a child not being able to read and write and speak correctly in English language is the fact that the level of education still in Nigeria is quite low. We have children who want to express themselves but do not have the right way, do not know the right way to go about it. And this is because they do not have qualified teachers to put them through. They don't have, like, it is strange to them. Bringing English language to them is like you want to stress them. I wish that if the government can actually see through this, bringing in quality teachers, looking into the problems that education face, and actually giving teachers the right enumeration that they deserve, it will also boost the educational sector.
And I said, E is dancing. Who is that E there? John. Please clap for yourself.
One of the challenges I faced, number one, is the large population of the students. You know, they are too much, and when you are teaching, most of them doesn't really pay attention, because some comes to school without food in their stomach. I see some of my students comes to school in tattered uniforms, torn uniforms, and this thing really tell on their self-esteem. That even when you call them, mistress is calling you, they tend to hide because they are not bold enough to face that teacher. I want the government to include the power of skill acquisition across all schools, because number one, it will increase their level of not even literacy, not even aspect of literacy, but the way they think. Because when talking about skills, that's to do with the brain. And they will be able to be creative in what they are doing, creative thinking, and also be a problem solver, not only to themselves, but to their peers as a whole.
When it comes to the quality of education in the North, where I live and work, well, there has been some improvements, I must say. 10 years ago, when I got to the North in 2012, it was a bad situation. I would like to relate it with my own personal experience when I was teaching or serving at the government girls secondary school. It would shock you to know that at that time, 2012, our learners would have their first time experiencing writing on an OMR sheet will be during WAEC. So prior to writing WAEC, they don't even know what it means to shade. They don't even know what it means to write an extended essay. Why? Because they couldn't afford, or the government, or there was no provision for A4 papers, printed question papers, booklets for them to write in. So while we were there, the only experience they had was writing on the board. Examination condition. The teachers would use their chalk to write maybe 2-3 questions on the board. That was the examination they knew. They weren't familiar with multiple choice questions because the provisions were not just there. Right now, when you go to the villages, there are problems. No chairs, no board. The condition of learning is extremely poor. The teachers who are willing to go to the villages to teach, they are very few. The ones who have been assigned the task of, that have been posted to the villages, they are not willing to go, compounded with the insecurity issues. So the issues are still there. Have we made progress? Minimal progress. A lot still needs to be done. But then we have to tackle the issue of security and teacher condition. If this must be, we must have a headway in that area.
As of the quality of education, I would say the ministry tries her best in providing infrastructure, providing manpower, or it comes down to implementation, whether the policies are being implemented at a particular stage, at a particular school, to be able to be beneficial to the end user. Sometimes again, it falls down to the teacher. Are teachers motivated enough to be able to put in more than enough time to give students the best experience they need for their teaching and learning? Sometimes again, I would say allocation of manpower in certain schools probably not enough to be able to, cater to the needs of students. You go to schools and find that there's a shortage of some science teachers, some might be social science teachers, some English teachers. Sometimes, again, we have issues of overpopulation in our schools. So the ratio of a teacher to students is above 50 in most schools. A lot of teachers, if you meet and speak with them, they actually want to leave the profession. They are tired of the profession. Why? Because lack of incentive, lack of teacher welfare. So it is an important aspect that I believe the government needs to look into, teacher welfare.
When you think about Nigeria today, the indices do not show that we're on track to really ensuring that every single citizen is able to acquire the knowledge, the skills, the mindset, the values needed for them to fulfill their own potential, but also to contribute to the development of our nation. And over the years, like we can see this through the statistics, children who are in school, we can see statistics that was shared, I believe it must have been by UNESCO, that showed that children who completed primary 6, which is 6 years of primary education in Nigeria, were unable to read and write, whether in English language or in their native language. If we want to raise and develop and equip 21st century learners, people who are going to be creative thinkers, people who are going to be problem solvers, the current curriculum is not going to deliver on that. The current curriculum is designed to just help create people who are just going to mass produce, or people who are just going to, copy and paste, almost like cookie cutter approach. But we need a curriculum that is going to allow for innovation, a curriculum that would allow for us to have problem solvers, a curriculum that would allow for us to have critical thinkers. And the current curriculum hasn't been designed to deliver on that. We have so many social issues and challenges in our country. We have such vast opportunities, and we continue to run a curriculum that is not allowing our students and our children, our people, to finish school and feel equipped to solve problems, to think about the challenges around them and create the solutions needed, to design innovations to help lift this country out of its issues. I mean, why shouldn't we have people that are manufacturing and creating things? The other day, I heard somebody share a story around how he had returned from school from the US, and he was asking questions around making shoes. He said he went on the street and he asked someone who obviously didn't go through formal education if these shoes could be made in Nigeria, and the person said no. And then he went on and then went into his office. He was working in the bank at the time, and also asked colleagues and said, can this shoe be made in Nigeria? And they said no. And he said he began to think about the mindset around, this is just basic shoes. If someone does not think that shoes can be manufactured here, or the idea that shoes can be created here, how are we going to create and develop, and invent and build things? How are we going to create our own aeroplane? How are we going to build, our own, aircraft and those types of things? And so when you think about the curriculum, we haven't designed a curriculum to deliver on the Nigeria that we want. We also haven't clarified for ourselves the vision around even the Nigeria that we want. And if we don't do that, there'll be complete disconnect. And that's something that needs to be done. We need to revamp the curriculum. We need to ensure that the curriculum has, STEM, whether it's the sciences, technology, etc., in a way that every child that is going through school is able to acquire all the skills needed for them to be 21st century learners and individuals who can compete both nationally and globally.
In 2015, a beacon of hope emerged when the Maltina Teacher of the Year initiative was born. It didn't just provide recognition for our teachers, it also transformed their teaching experiences. And after nearly 10 years, impacting over 300 participating teachers and transforming hundreds of schools, 241 teachers and 9 schools have been rewarded with over 500 million naira in cash and non-cash prizes. With its impact transcending borders, award-winning Nigerian teachers are now being recognized internationally, showcasing the talent and dedication of educators from Nigeria. This initiative is a brainchild of the Nigerian Brewers Felix Ohiwere Education Trust Fund and proudly endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Education. This edition is supported by Union Bank, Woodhall Capital Foundation, Airpeace, and Alert Group. Maltina Teacher of the Year, a decade of inspiring excellence in teaching.
You would find that in Nigeria, the quality of people who are getting into the teaching profession are the people who, majority of them, that it's not a first choice for them to go into teaching. It's not a first choice for them to go into education. And also we continue to worsen that situation when you think about, for example, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM, which you have to take as you're finishing secondary school to get into to enter into university and higher institutions. You'll find that those people who are going into education, all they're required to get is between 80 over the 400 that JAM averages, or 100 to get into an education degree. So between 80 to 100 is what is required, and the universities and JAM continue to reduce that bar. And when you think about it, what we're doing in turn is that we're attracting the bottom of the pyramid. We're attracting not the best minds, but you have other people who, to get into engineering, to get into law, to get into, medicine, they have to score 200 and above and what have you. And so when you think about that, the quality of people that first were getting into the profession is low. We get them into the profession. When you think about the quality of the training, you go into the colleges of education, and it's just so unfortunate and uninspiring that the people that we expect to support, to train, to equip the citizens of our country are not motivated. There's no inspiration even in the colleges where they're being trained, or even in the faculty when you see these individuals. When people talk about extracurricular activities, I have a laugh, because we're still here, and that's part of the challenge, calling it extracurricular, when in fact and indeed this is part of it's holistic education. You cannot tell me that I'll go to school and the focus is just to go there and learn numeracy, literacy, basic science, and geography and history and whatever other subjects that we have there in the curriculum, and then you tell me that sports, coding, robotics, all of those different things are extracurricular. Excuse me, it is part and should be part of the curriculum. It is part of what should be taught to every child based on their interests, based on what you're exposing them to, etc. And so it shouldn't be extracurricular. So my challenge is that the things that should be part of how we're teaching, how we're developing, how we're raising our students, we call it extracurricular, where in fact that is the holistic education should be part. Every child should have access to all the different opportunities that exist beyond the academic core of their work in school. And so, I think this is also part of what we need to be thinking about, like how do we raise the rigor of our curriculum in a way that it's not just focused on academic, but in a way that is focused on both academic and all these other extra things. How many of us can really say, those of us who went through school in Nigeria and went through the education system, went to school, studied what we studied, but that's what we're using today? Very few people can say that. There are lots of people who went through the education system. Today, they're bag makers, they're photographers, they're videographers, they're athletes and what have you. And so how do we design a system of school that allows every child to develop other talents beyond just, the academics, but they're able to develop their innate talents as well? And that is where what we call extracurricular comes in. But let's not make it extra, let's make it intra. Let's make it part of what is expected to be delivered in all the classrooms and across all schools in our country.
The Nigerian Breweries Felix Ohiwere Education Trust Fund was established in 1994 by Nigerian Breweries PLC as an avenue for us to actively contribute to the development of the education sector in Nigeria. We have been able to place footprints in all 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, with the ETF supporting the development of education across primary, secondary, and tertiary levels of education. Since the ETF kicked off, we have been able to achieve the construction, renovation, as well as furnishing of up to 429 classrooms. This includes sanitary facilities, laboratories, and even libraries across more than 74 communities nationwide. One of the most prominent investments by the Felix Ehuire Education Trust Fund is the donation of a Faculty of Science and Technology building valued at $1 million to the Pan-Atlantic University right here in Lagos. Another significant intervention by the ETF is the investment in medical research and learning at the University College Hospital, Ibadan. Over a period of years, I think about 5 to 6 years, under a formal commitment, the fund has donated medical training equipment such as mannequins, blood pressure measurement trainers, airway suction trainers, and other such simulating equipment. We also donated computer systems, e-learning studio cameras with studio lighting equipment, and even internet services. All of these together have been worth over 300 million naira. Now, even beyond educational infrastructures, the ETF also annually supports deserving students with scholarships and research grants. For example, we sponsor a set of PhD students through the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP. The ETF also donates books annually to secondary schools across the country. In 2022, we donated books to empower both teachers and students to adapt for the special learning styles of students living with dyslexia. In 2023, we donated up to 1,440 STEM textbooks to schools nationwide. Building on this commitment to education, in 2015, the Maltina Teacher of the Year competition was introduced by the Trust Fund as a much-needed platform to recognize, celebrate, and reward exceptional teachers in Nigeria. We are so proud and so grateful that through all of these impactful initiatives, the ETF has become a part of the story of our dear country, Nigeria, and a cornerstone of the proud 78-year history of Nigerian Breweries PLC.
The Maltina Teacher of the Year, in my opinion, has inspired Nigerian teachers. Again, I go back to recognition. Many teachers are in the classroom who are doing very beautiful things, exceptional things, but we cannot recognize all of them. But the ones that we recognize, it boosts the morale of the people who are not recognized. One day, probably one day, somebody will recognize me. And so I put in my effort and then I do it. So Maltina Teacher of the Year has done that for the Nigerian teacher. And that's why you see the increase in the number of entries. The thing is just growing and growing because everybody wants to be recognized. And everybody thinks that let me do well. If I'm able to do my job properly, one day they will recognize me. Even the schools are now so interested that the school heads, Association of Principals, now go out to sensitize people to apply. And then it's something that's touched the life of teachers. And you see that the schools that the Teacher of the Years that we have done have come out. You see that the students from those schools are very proud of their teacher. They are proud of their school and they are proud of the efforts of the teacher. And they are happy with Maltina for what he's doing for teachers. Parents are happy. The teachers are also happy. I think everybody is happy with what the initiative has been able to accomplish and will accomplish in the future.
friendship, it lasts forever. True friendship, a gift we share together. No matter where you are, we're there together. Sharing moments, happiness is when we are together.
Maltina, share happiness.
MTOTY awakened in me the consciousness that, look, Oluwabumi, you are not just a teacher who wants to get results, but you are a professional teacher. I became more intentional as a teacher. And then Maltina Teacher of the Year has also boosted my desire and my push, my drive to keep developing myself. Because now I know I am not just a teacher who wants to prepare students to pass WAEC, but I am a professional teacher who is a custodian of the profession, an ambassador of what I represent as a teacher.
Winning the Maltina Teacher of the Year has been very overwhelming. It has been life-changing, transformative. It has made me grow in different capacities. Like, first of all, it has made me be appreciated as a teacher, validated as a teacher, and recognized as a teacher. It has also improved me in terms of leadership. I take up mentorship roles. I am more of a coach, and I play a role of an inspirator to inspire other teachers, other students to follow suit. That way, I can give back to the community in cascading whatever it is I learn to other teachers.
Next time on Teaching with the Heart.
STEM education is important for national development. No country develops without a good STEM education. Because of the ramifications of STEM education, you need adequate funding, you need adequate laboratories, you need adequate workshops, and you also need trained teachers.